Welcome back for another episode of Missions by You. Today I have my co-host Brenna Gorjo with me to do some interviews. Hey Brenna.
Hey, excited to be here.
Thanks. And today we're going to be interviewing Dan Fox, editor-in-chief of ANTIGRAVITY, one of New Orleans' most trusted alternative print publications. Hey Dan, welcome
Hello.
in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Cool. So for people who might not be familiar, I'd love to start with what is ANTIGRAVITY, and can you tell me the origin story?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Anti-Gravity is a classic monthly alt rag. On our logo cover, we call ourselves the New Orleans alternative to culture, which is just kind of a joke because we are alternative media. The word alternative has kind of been destroyed over the decades. It means a lot. It means nothing. But you have to have that word if you want to accurately describe to people what you do. And we sort of jokingly say that we are the alternative to culture in New Orleans because New Orleans famously has a lot of cultural institutions that are revered and that are very well documented and have been. And we were more interested in underdocumented stories and bands and culture, sort of historically, things like punk rock and hip hop and genres in New Orleans that have been underreported over the decades. So that's kind of our mission and our origin is just documenting those stories. Some people might call it youth culture. Sounds funny coming from me because I'm now like 47 years old, but when the magazine started, I was like in my 20s, as was the original founder and publisher and editor, Leo McGovern. We were all in our 20s going to shows at Twiropa and One-Eyed Jacks and places like that. And so he started the magazine with that kind of mission in mind. And that was in 2004. And we just put out a monthly issue. I became involved early on, not really at the onset, but pretty early on. I was in tune with Leo's mission. And again, just being a young person in New Orleans who was interested in all of these sort of newer genres of music and culture, I jumped aboard, started writing for Anti-Gravity. Myself, I just slowly over the years became more involved. I was a writer, then I was a senior writer, and then I was an editor. I was like one of a handful of editors, and then I became the editor-in-chief. And then in 2015, I purchased the business and became the publisher in addition to the editor-in-chief. And that's kind of been the case since 2015. And ever since, then and even before, we just we put out this magazine monthly.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That is
starting
really cool.
from just, working a little bit and then becoming the publisher of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I tried really hard not to do any of that. I really wanted to be in a band and like be a musician and stuff like that. And Anti-Gravity was like my homework. But I have been kind of a writer and documentarian my entire life. I can't escape it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those weird things, like this thing that you're trying to get away from, but it keeps pulling you deeper in, which is still true to this day, actually. It's very strange, but yeah, it's just been a little bit of a build over time. And now it's like all of a sudden it's like, well, we're 20 years in.
You're like, I'm here. I'm knee deep. I'm
like up to my eyeballs in it. We've had this crazy last several months, kind of a renaissance in a way. But there's been whole eras of renaissance with this magazine. It's just been, it's been kind of a roller coaster, but mostly going up. So that's good. Here we are today somehow still.
Yeah. And you've been at the helm for half of its life, really, since 2015, you said.
Yeah. And I mean, I was sort of instrumental in a lot of the content before then. So it feels like a lot longer than that. Like, I think in 2015, that sort of cemented what was already in practice.
Right. What would you say is Anti-Gravity's curatorial process?
It's rigorous. We have a rigorous curatorial process. We have 6 to 8 editors, give or take, who all have strong opinions about things. I mean, one of the things that's important to us is just having a bit of quality control. So now a lot of our content comes from the ground up, I like to say. Writers, photographers, illustrators, they send us what they are interested in, what they're doing. We do assign illustrations to pieces, but like our columnists, our writers, our photographers, they're just out in the world covering what's interesting to them, and then they bring it to us, and we just basically put it together, and we, you know, slate it for various issues. And then the editorial process is, I like to call it the gauntlet, because it is. I think from start to finish, like a feature piece might go through, you know, like I said, 6 to 8 different editors. It's going to go through several rounds of like refining. Things get challenged. We do a little bit of fact checking and link checking, and we have a whole system for making sure people's names get spelled right and band names are spelled right, things like that. So it's pretty involved for a publication our size, I would say. In fact, it's probably unique in terms of like the filters that something has to go through to make it into this like black and white newsprint kind of rag thing. But I think that's part of our special sauce.
I just had a thought about, since you've been with the magazine for so long, you also have probably seen writers, photographers, and people grow in that time period of like their first submission maybe not being quite up to snuff, but then like 5 years later submitting something and like seeing their craft elevate.
Absolutely. Sometimes we're kind of like a boot camp for new writers, and you know, in some ways, I prefer new writers with good attitudes over seasoned writers with bad attitudes, because again, our process is rigorous. But I think that what our contributors find, what I hope they find, is that like everybody comes out better at what they do at the end of our process, and you know, that's just something that I've been involved with my whole life. I mean, I went to NOCA for creative writing, and they kind of destroyed us in our first workshop, you know, when I was a freshman in high school. But that's how you become better at, you know, is meeting a lot of resistance throughout the stage of producing something. So yeah, have seen a lot of people come and go through the ages, and that's actually one thing that's really satisfying about doing the magazine.
So I'd love to talk about the voter guides. I feel like that is something you guys are really known for. How did that whole process come about to start creating those voter guides?
Right. I can tell you that story. I am a chronic voter. I personally believe in voting in every election. That's how I was raised.
We love that sickness.
I think
chronic voting.
I think it's a discipline that if more people exercised, we'd be in a better position. So I like to vote. I like to vote on everything. Some of these elections, they get in the weeds of these constitutional amendments, these city charters, these things that are just, they're very procedural. They're not high profile. And so I want to say it was around the 2010s, maybe, like after, in that era, there were some people involved with an organization called Tristereo, and what Tristereo is they are a harm reduction network. They are part of a harm reduction network. I hope I get this right. I feel like I messed this up a lot, but they're basically a street level advocacy group for people who use drugs. So they give out clean syringes, they give out naloxone kits, overdose kits. They do like just things like that on street level. And this, as you know, growing up in like punk rock and DIY cultures, like that's something that I really admire, is like when people do like work that is tangible. There was a group called Food Not Bombs who used to they do this all over the country, but in New Orleans, you would go to like a place and get all their old food and leftover bread, like from a bakery. And then you just kind of dress it up and go serve it to homeless people in Jackson Square. Just like no grand nonprofit scheme, no like big organization, like give us money and then we pay all these
Boots on the
people.
ground, someone gets fed, someone gets that tangible thing they need immediately.
Direct action, yes.
Yeah.
So Tristereo, they're doing all these things, but there was also people involved who were putting out something called the Anti-Oppression, Anti-BS Voter Guide. And I loved it. Like I said, I really vibed with their whole like outlook and everything. So I would look to their voting guide to vote on like, you know, dog catcher. I mean, we don't vote for dog catcher, but like that level of, you know, election. And I thought like, why doesn't anybody else do this? Like the paper of record in this town and the legacy media outlets, they were not covering elections, especially when it came to these lower profile ballot spots, like, you know, judge, you know, things like that. Like everybody loves to come out and vote for mayor and senator and president, but like there's all these other people who get elected who that's like the beginning of their career. Anyway, I would read this voting guide that they put out just like on a blog spot page. So I worked it out with them. I worked it out with these people associated with Tristereo to publish their guide in our newspaper, which we started doing, I want to say 2014. It was at least, it was a couple years, I want to say, before the 2016 election. So what would happen is at first we published their guide. They wrote it, sent it to us, and we might, you know, do some spot editing, but it pretty much ran as they turned it into us. Over the years, it became more of a hybrid thing where we started adding people on our end to their process, and we would work out the voting guide together. And again, like that, we started doing that because it took off, again, because there was nobody was covering elections in depth like that at the time. And then eventually with Tristereo's blessing, we just kind of took over the voting guide and we just called it the Anti-Gravity Voting Guide because now it's produced in-house by anti-gravity contributors and a few sort of like loose associates, like people who are really good at data and like parsing data and stuff like that. And so it's been such a phenomenon to watch over the years because there was no grand design. It was just a simple thing like, oh, this is cool. Like we should publish it. I don't see anything like this in New Orleans. Let's publish it. The public has responded to it. Like they were hungry for that kind of coverage.
Right.
And what's interesting is nowadays you do see a lot of other voting guides put out by other outlets. And I'd like to think that we helped kickstart that to a degree.
The OG.
I mean,
the OG.
but even, you know, and again, I always have to give credit to Tristereo for like being the, you know, the real OG, you know, of that. Like they really, just their whole outlook and everything really inspired this phenomenon that is the Anti-Gravity Voter Guide. And we put it out because people demand it. You know, it's crazy. Like, and it's really evolved over the years. We used to publish it pretty much on the day of the election, and this is pre-COVID, because most people used to vote on election day. Now COVID completely changed voting, where early voting now is a huge thing. And we have people basically kicking down our door weeks before early voting starts. Like, where's the voting guide? Are you doing a voting guide? And we're like, yes, we're working on it. We promise. Like, information is still coming in about these candidates and these ballot measures. So now we publish on the eve of early voting. And it's really inspiring, the community feedback we get about those. So they keep, you know, as long as that sort of feedback loop keeps happening, we'll keep putting it out.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
It's great to have that pressure, though, because then candidates are then required to put more information about themselves out beforehand when people are asking for it, I think. And also we're paying attention, like you said, to candidates that may never have been on our radar before. Calvin Duncan is a great example of that. I don't know that anyone could have said what a clerk of court was.
I was going to say, or the importance of that role.
And it is incredibly important.
Listening to an interview where he was talking about from when he was incarcerated is when he learned what clerk of court does. And I was like, I wouldn't have known how important this role was if it wasn't for your platform and you running for this position.
Yep. Or tax assessor with Cassius.
Yeah.
I'm just the voting guide has opened my eyes to how many things are electable.
Yeah.
And that's empowering in and of itself, I think.
And I think, as we say in our voting guide, our guide is a document to document this like map of power, because what we've learned over the years that's really interesting to me is like we have our own archive of research on these chronic candidates, who like run year after year.
I've seen this face before.
Right.
I've seen this name before.
Right. And so, you don't want to dismiss the long shot. You want to give them their due print space, because they're the long shot today, but in the future they could be running for congressperson or senator or something like that. So it's wild. I mean, and the Calvin Duncan election is historic. Like, I don't know if people are like fully aware of how historic that election is, just in terms of like so much, like the vote margin that he won by is insane. And I think that's like a perfect storm of a lot of different things that happened. Like, I don't know if you could pinpoint any one thing, but I think people will be studying that for a while, like once it kind of really sets in, like how impactful that election was. And it's good that people are getting interested in these lower ballot positions, because like that's where things happen too. Like that's where budget decisions are made, and that's where cultures are formed. Like, there's cultures within these departments that, can really affect people's lives. Obviously, Calvin Duncan knows that better than anyone.
How we start affecting the change smallly, right? If you're unhappy with what's happening in government in your city, like those smaller elections are almost just as important, if not sometimes more important, than who you vote for mayor. And you said it just a second ago about how that's how career politicians start, right? Like, Helena, that's not her first election as mayor. She ran for other seats. That's how you end up in bigger positions of power.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a discipline, to go and vote for these positions that don't have that profile, that don't, I think it's a little unfortunate in this country. We do have a little bit of a savior complex when it comes to like these higher profile candidates, because we want to vote for somebody and have things change like immediately, but change really does take place over time, and it takes place in the bureaucracy. So when I like to advocate for voting, I don't really like to bully people into voting, because I understand the apathy, and it's a very cynical thing. I mean, the putting together the voting guide is not easy for us. It's not easy for the people who are really researching it. I mean, it's a lot of bad news. It's
of course
it's but the work is important. But yes, I like the election that we just had with Calvin Duncan, very interesting, but it was a 20% turnout, which is good for that kind of election, but really not good in the bigger picture.
That's still a pretty sad number when you think of, 20%. Like, why can't we at least get to 50%,
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Because I get it. Not everyone can make every election. So we won't ever get that high. But, man, 20% still feels like we aren't getting enough people activated.
And 20% is a groundbreaking number.
Yeah. Right.
I was pessimistic. I didn't think it would break 10%. So I was a little pleasantly surprised and wrong about that. But, things will continue to be the way they are as long as people are like not engaged, I feel like.
Right.
So
my dad was similar to you, and he was like, we vote in every election. Like, I don't care if I got off of work and it was a terrible day. Like, and he would bring us, me to vote with him. And I remember like when I got old enough to read because they print the what am I trying to say? The amendments. And I'm like, you stand here and read this? Like, what does any of this even mean?
Right.
And so I was like, there's got to be a better way. When I am voting, I've got to figure out a better system. Luckily, anti-gravity.
Dan figured it out for you. And Tri-Stereo figured it out for us.
Because I was like, I can't stand here and read this tiny print.
That's convoluted on purpose sometimes.
Yeah.
No, by design. And I think by design, it's meant for you to not participate.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think about like, he comes from off of work, like you want to relax, your brain's kind of just fried from the day, and you have to sit there and try to figure out like what, millage I want to approve and where it's
Right.
going. Like that, it is very convoluted and set up for people to just be like, I'm going to click any button, or I'm not going to fully understand and click the wrong button.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. So, yeah, if we can help with that, we are here to help.
Well, speaking of change over time, like you mentioned before, what's your hope for the future of Anti-Gravity, given such a month you had in September?
I really just like to keep trucking just what we're doing. I mean, we could put out more issues. I mean, I feel like we put out 11,000 issues monthly. I want to say it's about 140 locations in the greater metro area. That feels pretty good. I don't have any grand plans for things that are different. This is our baby, our collective baby. Growing up in the 90s, this black and white newsprint speaks to me, and I think it speaks to a lot of people. So I don't think you're going to see like glossy color or anything like that anytime soon. We will always continue to evolve, but with the future, I would just like to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, honestly, with a few tweaks here and there, but nothing fundamental. I mean, maybe a podcast. I don't know. It's hard to strike a balance between what distracts us from this primary mission and what enhances it. So that all comes with more resources and more more money. So we'll see. But fundamentally, I'm pretty happy with it, I have to say, with what it is. And
Yeah.
How can people support?
there's a bunch of ways. Can I open this up actually?
for it.
Because people can just sort of do this on their own, but we have what I like to call 3 ways to support that cost money and 3 ways that don't cost money. And we have this in every print issue, and we have it online as well. And it's basically, we're always taking on advertisers. That's kind of our primary way to generate funds. We do have like subscription and merch on a big cartel site, and you can do a 12-month subscription, you can do a monthly, you can buy a hat or a tote or a T-shirt. We have that's the limited edition gray, but we have them in like heather gray and black.
Limited edition.
And then people donate to our voter guide because we don't really monetize that. We don't have a sponsor for it. That would kind of take away from its spirit.
Right.
So we all, and people are very generous when it comes to the voter guide. It's really amazing to see. We ask for $5, but we say like, what is your idea of $5? Like, what's a cheap lunch? What's a local show?
Yeah.
What's it worth to you to have read this? And people give us like $10, $20, $50. So that's like a really nice model that's gets away from like, the capitalist hellscape that we're in, where people like assess their own value of something. And it actually comes out better than if we just like priced it at something.
Right.
So that's like always amazing to experience. So that's the 3 ways: advertising, like our big cartel merch and subscription page, and then donating to the voting guide. That's how we bring in money. It also helps when people sign up for our newsletter. We just come out with 1 newsletter a month. It's not like an email carpet bomb. And our newsletter has like a synopsis of the issue and a PDF of the issue. So it's like, it's a good way to get like early access to the issue. And that comes out right on the 1st at 9 a.m. We try to be pretty robotic about that. We ask our readers to patronize our advertisers. So like, make sure, if you're a reader of Anti-Gravity and you appreciate what you do and you want to support us, but you're broke, just like go to your coffee shop or, like we have this list of advertisers that we publish, which I think is really cool. Cause like, it's good if you're local and it's like kind of a quick resource guide for like, if you want to go out to eat, you want to grab some coffee, you want to get a tattoo, you want to go out, see a show, you want to go buy some records. We've done this job of like coming up with a curated list. So like, just go into these places and tell them like, hey, we appreciate that you advertise with us. That goes a long way. And then the last thing is just to follow us on social media and, that, anything that enhances our profile in the digital realm is always something that we can take to advertisers and say, look at our audience and how big and awesome they are.
Yeah,
So
totally.
When we spoke in your pre-interview, do you guys have an event coming up? Or did it already pass?
we have a series of events coming up that are in the works. The one specific one that I like that is like locked in enough that I can talk about is December 12th. We're actually having a special beer that's being brewed for us at Care Forgot Brewery on St. Charles.
Cool.
It's called Pint's Not Dead, sort of like Prince Not Dead.
Oh, nice.
It's a roasted Louisiana rice lager. So it's like going to be like, it's a special batch. There's only so many of them. We're going to have like branded pint glasses. So I want to say that's Friday, December 12th. I'm pretty sure that's the right date. It's whatever that Friday is. We're going to be part of Photo Nola, which is a whole photography thing that happens in December. And we always have a show at Sui Jeannerie, which is a restaurant in the Bywater. Those are the two kind of events that we have locked in. We're working on a Salon of Shame, which is the thing where people come and read from their high school journals and diaries. And we call it like kind of a cringe fest.
Yeah.
It's a pretty wild time. The last one we had at the original Nightcap was just wild. I mean, it's like, it's this crazy like mix of like spoken word, stand up, just people just cutting out pieces of their soul and like, for audiences to laugh at. But it's a good time. It's meant to be like funny, and kind of inspiring in sort of a community way. So we're working on that. I don't have a date or a venue locked in just yet. And then in June, we will have like a 22-year anniversary show at the Saturn Bar.
Oh, cool.
And we're just working on the lineup for that.
Nice.
So
packed December. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, we got a lot. I mean, we got a lot coming up. It's we're going to try to do stuff like that seasonally. Because we actually had like a pretty good run of it over the fall doing stuff like that, and people really responded. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
this is very cool.
Well, before we wrap the episode up, we like to ask a fun off the cuff question. Okay. So, if you could create any magazine, what would it be called, and what would it be about?
If I could create like a different one,
yeah, any topic, whatever you want.
In the 90s, there were just infinity mags about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a child of the 90s, and I mean, right. I grew up with magazines. That was our internet. I mean, I have a bunch of ideas. I mean, other than Anti-Gravity, a funny thing about Anti-Gravity is sometimes in our darker moments when it's like, I don't know if we'll last, we always say that we would continue to do the voting guide. And if that's the only thing we did, we could probably put it out in print again. And if we put it out in print, we might as well throw some music reviews and stuff in there. And so basically we end up just recreating Anti-Gravity. So your question's interesting to me because I feel like I was just destined to like helm a magazine like this. So like it's hard for me to think of what else I would do, because this is really like this is like a summation of like everything I've loved about magazines growing up, like all the magazines, like National Geographic, Boys Life, Newsweek, Rolling Stone. We bought all those subscriptions as a kid. My parents were like, they're educators and people like that. So just a constant flow of magazines coming in the house. But I'd like to do a magazine called like Garage Monthly, where it's just pictures of like people's garages.
Nice.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It has very little to do with cars. It's just like the clutter or the organizing.
The clutter,
yeah.
Like the stories. Sometimes I think if Anti-Gravity like blew up, I would love to do like kind of a very extremely local West Bank version of Anti-Gravity.
Please.
Because that's where I live. So like a very hyper local, like West Bank monthly, I think would be cool.
I grew up on the West Bank, and I feel like it's so separated, and I'd love to just Yes, like be reminded of like the restaurants and the new things and the happenings.
Endless stories, just endless stories, and everyone over there is insane in the best way possible. It's a place that fascinates me so much that I moved there, you know, like a little over 10 years ago. And I think there's a whole world of stories there. So sometimes I, you know, sort of daydream about stuff like that.
Can we please get an Anti-Gravity West Bank? Just one edition. Just one edition.
Just
one. I just need one side.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept. We did that once. We did a guide to the West Bank, but it was like really like 2 pages. And that had to be like 2007 or 8. So
it's due for a renaissance.
Yeah. Let's make it
Definitely.
3 pages even.
I mean, it's worth putting on the board.
Do you want to go? Do you have
Sure.
yours?
Yeah, I think I would have a magazine that was written and edited and partially produced entirely by children under 8 years old. So all the ads are drawn by kids. Yeah, I think I don't care what it's about. Maybe like exclusively politics. I think that would be hysterical.
I am so intrigued because now I'm imagining like a personal injury lawyer ad drawn by children.
No, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like those like giant full page like Lancome anti-skin, anti-aging cream ads or whatever, just done by a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes children are better at following directions than some adults.
Correct.
So, like, I'm just thinking about that from like a deadline perspective.
You're like from an editor.
Would that be a nightmare, or would it just kind of be the same thing, actually? You know, and probably easier because it's like, here's some snacks. Finish your work.
Yeah, focus.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna get everybody in a room. There's gonna be goldfish and juice boxes.
Plenty of crayons. We're gonna knock this out.
We're gonna knock it out. Yeah. Right
No,
before recess.
That's a good one.
Mine would be all about sauces. I love a dipping sauce. I love a sauce that you put on a sandwich. You put it on meat, anything. I just want publication every month where we talk about what sauce are you using.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's great. Dip monthly.
Dip monthly. Dip monthly.
I'm working on the trademark as soon as we cut.
Yours. You could have that. Godspeed.
Dip monthly for sure. Yeah, I'm coming for you, Bon Appetit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Count your days.
Count your days.
Yeah.
Dad, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank
Great
you.
conversation.
Appreciate y'all.
This has been amazing. It was great to talk.
Well, good.
Yeah. Anti-Gravity socials. Let's put those in.
Sure. We have a website, antigravitymagazine.com. You can everything is there. Like, that's a good place to start.
Okay.
Our socials, everything is at Anti-Gravity Mag. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky.
Amazing.
Had to jump off Twitter after the election last year. Just felt kind of gross being on there. So we have a Twitter account, X, whatever. We're not active on it. So
Find it on Blue Sky.
But,
Yeah.
at Anti-Gravity Mag across the board.
Amazing.
That's also our Venmo and PayPal.
Drop that. Yeah.
Drop that in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll see you at Care Forgot
That would be great.
on December 13th.
That should be a good
bespoke
time.
beer. I'm excited about it.
I think it's the 12th, I want to say.
The
Just
12th.
off had to- but
Friday,
yes,
December 12th.
December 12th.
Yes.
That's right.
I hope that's right.
We'll
We'll
just
edit and post.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for listening to Missions Bayou, powered by Comfy Stone. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment, letting us know your thoughts and who you'd like to hear from next. We'll see y'all next time.